Picture this. It's 600 BCE, and a woman named Sappho is on a sunlit island in the Aegean Sea. She's scribbling poems that are basically the thirst traps of ancient Greece. They're raw, emotional, and they're not about men.
She's the original queer icon, writing love poems to women centuries before anyone thought to put a rainbow on a flag.
And she's so iconic that she literally gives us the word lesbian.
Which, respect. Not everyone gets their name turned into an entire sexuality.
This is the story of Sappho, poet, rebel, and the woman who basically invented soft but devastatingly hot energy.
Welcome to Sapphic Lore, the podcast where we gossip about the dramatic, messy, and very gay lives of women throughout history. I'm Rowan, and I'm officially obsessed with the woman who would have made Lana Del Rey cry into her Aperol spritz.
And I'm Jules, and I'm already emotionally compromised because Sappho's poetry makes me want to lay in a field of wildflowers and ugly cry.
In this first episode of our Sappho series, she wrote the word lesbian, literally. We're setting the stage. Who was Sappho? What was life like on the island of Lesbos? And why does this woman have the ancient equivalent of Taylor Swift's fan base?
Yeah, imagine being so good at writing love poems that people remember your thirst tweets 2,600 years later.
Absolute goals.
Let's start with where and when Sappho grew up. It's around 630 BCE, and we're on the island of Lesbos, this gorgeous Greek island with olive groves, white cliffs, and apparently the gayest vibes in recorded history.
Lesbos is basically the Mykonos of antiquity, except instead of dance clubs and Instagram influencers, you've got fishermen, goat herders, and aristocrats drinking wine like it's a sport.
But Lesbos was also a cultural hotspot. Think of it like the ancient version of Brooklyn. Poets, musicians, and artists everywhere.
Except instead of artisanal oat milk lattes, they had symposiums, wine-soaked intellectual hangouts where people argued about philosophy while probably trying to hook up.
Sappho was born into an aristocratic family, which meant she had access to education. And instead of just weaving or being someone's property, she was like, you know what? I'm going to write the most beautiful love poems about women the world has ever seen, and you can deal with it.
Legend behavior. If Sappho were alive today, she'd be the girl posting devastating breakup poems on Instagram stories, and you'd be like, wow, I didn't even know I was heartbroken until now.
Absolutely. She'd have a cult following of queer girls who all swear she's secretly writing about them.
Honestly, she probably was.
Here's one of my favorite details. Sappho apparently ran a school for young women.
Oh, the Sapphic boarding school of the ancient world. I'm picturing this dreamy villa where rich families sent their daughters to learn poetry, music, and how to look elegant while Sappho serenaded them on a lyre.
It's less like finishing school and more like the queer summer writing retreat of your dreams.
And Sappho wasn't shy about her feelings. She wrote poems directly to these girls. Lines like, "The sight of you leaves me speechless, my tongue breaks, and a delicate fire runs under my skin."
That's not exactly subtle.
No chill, zero chill.
And yet, history keeps trying to straightwash her, like, these were just platonic?
Platonic? That's not platonic. That's gay panic in verse.
This reminds me of how people say Emily Dickinson's letters to Susan Gilbert were just friendly.
Yeah, because I also write to my friends like, I cannot live without you. You are my breath, my heartbeat, my everything. Totally normal.
Straight historians are just delusional. By the time Sappho was an adult, she was a celebrity. People came from all over Greece to hear her poems. Plato, yes, that Plato called her the 10th muse, which is basically like being knighted by Beyoncé.
And remember, this is a society where women weren't supposed to have public voices. And here's Sappho, standing up on a stage like, I love women. Welcome to my TED Talk.
There's even a theory that her poems were performed with music, like early pop songs, which means Sappho might have been the Beyoncé of ancient Greece.
She definitely had bangers. You know, people were humming Ode to Aphrodite on their way to the marketplace.
But with fame comes gossip. Some say she was exiled to Sicily for political reasons. Others claim she threw herself off a cliff for a man. Which, absolutely not.
Yeah, Sappho, queen of Sapphic thirst, is not ending it all over some guy named Phaon. I'm calling fake news.
I think it's one of those myths men made up to make her more acceptable.
Classic. History really has a problem with powerful women. If Sappho lived today, TMZ would be like, mystery woman leaves Sappho's villa at dawn. Are they dating?
And she'd just smile cryptically and say, all love is divine. Also, my new EP drops Friday.
Iconic behavior.
So that's where we leave Sappho for now, a queer poet at the height of her fame, living on Lesbos, changing the literary world.
But in the next episode, things get messy. We're talking exiles, scandals, and why her poetry almost disappeared forever.
Basically, ancient drama with a side of heartbreak.
Stick around, because trust me, Sappho's story only gets wilder from here.